Hello, this is Lenin Kumar and my topic for the course project is chapter 26 from Sayed book, which is transform domain adaptive filters. The outline of the chapter goes as follows. First we will see some alternative forms of LMS algorithm and then pre-whitening filters and unitary transforms which are used to decorrelate the input data. And then we come up with the general transform domain LMS algorithm. Then we will see two special cases of unitary transforms, that is DFT and DCT. Finally, we compare the performance of different methods we discuss in this chapter. So let's get started. There are two problems to be addressed in the normal LMS algorithm. One is the computational complexity, which is proportional to the filter length, and the other one is that the convergence depends on the correlation of the input data, especially on the eigenvalues and eigenvalue spread of the correlation matrix. So we go for other alternatives of LMS which address one or two of these issues, namely transform domain adaptive filters, block adaptive filters, and subband adaptive filters. In the transform domain adaptive filters, we exploit the decorrelation properties of some well-known signal transforms. For example, DFT matrix diagonalizes all the circular matrices. The convergence is speeded up by using pre-whitening filters, and the increased speed is a function of the decorrelation achieved. The more decorrelation we get, the more improvement in performance will be. Since the degree of decorrelation varies from signal to signal, the improvement in performance achieved also varies from one signal to the other. Here the computational complexity is still in the order of m, that is the filter length. In block adaptive filters, the computational cost is reduced by a factor of a greater than 1, and at the same time, these filters improve the convergence speed. Here, the data is processed on a block by block basis, and we can exploit the efficient implementation of signal transforms. For example, we can use FFT to find the DFT. But these type of filters have a disadvantage that we need to wait till all the elements in the block of the data arrives before processing. There is another class of adaptive filters, namely subband adaptive filters, which also reduce the computational cost by a factor of a greater than 1. But its convergence speed can be less than that of block adaptive filters, and it's because the design of the analysis and synthesis filter banks is usually decoupled from the adaptive filter design, and that can lead to performance degradation. Now we will see transform domain filters in detail. We have already seen that the performance of LMS algorithm is sensitive to the correlation of the input data, and the optimal step size for better convergence depends on the maximum eigenvalue of the correlation matrix. We can have best convergence when all the eigenvalues are equal, that is unity eigenvalue spread is there. Then all elements will converge at the same rate. This is possible only when the input data is white. So we need pre-whitening filters to make the input regression data white. We can design the pre-whitening filters if we know the autocorrelation of the incoming data. We need to understand some terminology to design a pre-whitening filters. The first thing we need to know is the jet spectrum of a Whitesian stationary random process, which is nothing but the jet transform of the autocorrelation function. From the properties of jet transform, it exists only in the region of convergence. So assume autocorrelation is exponentially bounded for the convergence of the jet spectrum. The jet spectrum evaluated on the unit circle gives the power spectral density of the data. And the two properties of PSD are it is real and non-negative. One more property is that if Z0 is a polar 0 of the PSD, then its conjugate inverse is also a polar 0. So we factorize the PSD into two transfer functions as shown here. The above decomposition is done in such a way that the sigma u squared is a positive scalar and a of z is normalized to unity and it is a minimum phase function. These three constraints make a of z unique among all the possible combinations. Clearly, a of z contains all the poles and zeros inside the unit circle. Now, we have the input-output relation of a Whitesian stationary process when it is passed through an LTI system as shown here. The equation given here relates the input PSD and output PSD. We can observe that if we replace h of z here with the inverse of a of z we obtained earlier, we have the output correlation matrix as a sigma square times some identity matrix. We do the same thing here. We use the inverse of a of z as the pre-whitening filter and decorrelate the data. The corresponding LMS updation and the corresponding equations are mentioned here. So for example, if we have the data which has the correlation as a power mod k, we can have the a of z as 1 by 1 minus a z inverse. And if we use the inverse of this as the pre-whitening filter, we can decorrelate the data. So with this we complete the pre-whitening filters. Now we move on to unitary transforms. Designing the pre-whitening filters is not always feasible because it requires the knowledge of input correlation matrix. Some unitary transforms like DFT and DCT will help in decorrelating the data in some special cases. The standard LMS update equation is as shown here, and T is an m by m unitary operator. So if we multiply by T star on both sides of the LMS update equation, we get a new update equation where UI bar is the UI into T, that is the transformed data. The new update equation can be regarded as the standard LMS implementation with regression data UI bar instead of UI. Two popular unitary transforms are DFT and DCT as defined here. Here DFT matrix is symmetric and unitary, but the DCT matrix is unitary but not symmetric. We usually choose the transformation as the DFT or DCT. and when we apply T on Ui, the data is decorrelated, but the eigenvalues of before decorrelation and after decorrelation are same, and this can be proved by using the fact that similar matrices have same eigenvalues. So the decorrelated data still suffers the convergence issue because the eigenvalues are same. The transform domain adaptive filter implementation is as shown here. The block of data with length m is taken and we apply unitary transform on that, and then we update the weight vector. Since the transformed data still suffers from the convergence issue, we use the following LMS update equation instead of the equation obtained previously. Here we use the matrix step size that is equal to mu D inverse, letting D power half as the diagonal matrix whose entries are the positive square roots of the entries of D, and multiplying the above update equation with D power half on both sides, we get the following equations. And the new correlation matrix is D power minus half T star RU T D power minus half. Now RU and RU dash are not similar matrices anymore, and hence their eigenvalues and eigenvalue spread are also different. So how can we force RU dash to be an identity matrix? By choosing T equal to U and D equal to gamma, we can make RU dash as identity matrix where U and gamma are obtained using the eigenvalue decomposition of RU, and gamma contains diagonal elements as the eigenvalues of RU. So the variances of individual entries of Ui bar are nothing but the eigenvalues of RU. This choice of T is known as KL transform, and it still has one disadvantage that it requires the knowledge of RU. In KL transform, we need the knowledge of RU, and the unitary transform is coming from the eigenvalue decomposition of RU. But we can try an alternative, that is by replacing T by unitary transform that does not require the prior knowledge of RU. Often we choose T equal to DFT matrix or the DCT matrix, which will decorrelate the data in some special cases. These transforms will result in a correlation matrix that is close to a diagonal. An example is discussed in the chapter and it is included in the report. Moreover, we can also approximate the eigenvalues recursively using the relations here. This is the complete transform domain LMS algorithm. Here we initialize the eigenvalues to a small positive number epsilon and the initial weight vector to 0 vector. Then we take the incoming data Ui and we transform it to get Ui bar. Then using this transformed data, we approximate the eigenvalues using the exponentially weighted average relation described here. And then we form the DI matrix using these eigenvalues. The DI matrix is diagonal, which contains the eigenvalues, approximated eigenvalues, and then we find the error between the incoming data and approximated data using the weight vector that is obtained in the previous iteration. Then using this error vector, we update the weight vector, that is we find the WI bar. Then and this WI bar is in the transform domain, we convert it back to the time domain using the relation WI equal to T into WI bar. And here mu is a positive step size which is usually small, and the exponential weighting factor beta is chosen such that 0 less than beta less than 1. Now we will see DFT domain LMS algorithm where the transformation matrix T is nothing but the DFT matrix. In the transform domain LMS, the computational cost depends on the transformation T and its implementation. Even if we use the fast Fourier transform for obtaining the DFT, the computational complexity is order of m log m to the base 2. But in this case, the DFT can be obtained in the order of m complexity because the current incoming data Ui and the previous incoming data, previous data Ui minus 1 will have m minus 1 common terms in that, and using this fact we can obtain a recursive relation that is used to compute the DFT that is described here, Ui equal to Ui minus 1 into some matrix S plus some extra term. So using this relation we can compute the DFT in the order of m complexity. This is the complete DFT domain LMS algorithm, which is same as the transform domain LMS algorithm we have seen earlier. The only difference is that the DFT of the incoming vector is obtained using the recursive relation shown here, and in that relation we have a new term, an m by m matrix S, which is defined as shown here. And the computational cost of this algorithm is order of m, which is same as the normal LMS algorithm. Now we will see the DCT domain LMS algorithm where we choose the transformation matrix to be the transpose of the DCT matrix. So in this algorithm also same as the DFT domain LMS, but here we need to do some extra computations, that is A of k, B of k and pi of k as indicated here. And the m by m matrix S is modified with the cosine terms as shown here. The transformed vector ui bar is obtained using the previously computed transformed vectors in the past two iterations, that is ui minus 1 bar and ui minus 2 bar, and the m by m matrix S and the pi of k. Since the computation of ui bar is nothing but a linear transformation and the addition of two vectors, so the computational cost of this algorithm is also continues to be order of m. Now we will see the performance analysis of the algorithms discussed so far. The data used here has an autocorrelation function of 0.95 power mod k, and the filter order is 8. The step size is chosen as mu equal to 0.01, and the noise variance is taken as minus 40 dB. The experiment is performed 300 times, and the outputs are averaged to get the ensemble average learning curves. The ensemble average learning curves for all the four algorithms are shown here. It is visible that the DFT LMS, DCT LMS and the pre-weighted LMS converge faster than the normal LMS. The performance of DFT LMS and the DCT LMS will reach the performance of pre-weighted LMS for some particular type of data. The computational cost of all these algorithms is of the order of m. But by going into the transform domain, we achieved better performance. That is, the faster convergence is obtained. Thank you.